take. I think
Great
Skit
when you
is
read
one of my
the game.
favorite songs.
Previously unexplored.
I have seen hell, and there was only one person there. A lunatic that loves this game. I was the only person there. I'm talking about me. Me!
From the fiery depths of Jahannam.
Let's do it!
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading south.
It must be another one of the 7 world rings. Touching it makes me feel like I've got a whirlpool of emotion spiraling around inside me.
I love this game. Everything from its exhilarating cinematic gameplay, with motion controls that decrease the distance to what's happening on screen, to the catchy, immersive music that captures a range of emotions, and then to eye-catching aesthetics, sands, dinosaurs, flying castles, all these creative environments born from the vast stories of the Arabian Nights. And then a tale that's told through animatics that gives great characterization to both Sonic and Shara, with sweet symbolism sparkled on top.
Huh? I can't pick it up.
Let's address the elephant in the room. How can I love this game, despite popular sentiment of the game being...
Oh my god, I'm in a fucking... I hate this game so much.
Well, to start with, there are some things that even critics of the game say the game does right.
Yeah, the turning feels responsive somewhat.
Keep in mind, the rest of the game felt responsive enough to me.
The only thing reliable about Sonic is moving left and right and the homing attack.
Here, we have the director of the game speaking in interviews about how they came up with the control system, like these motion controls that everyone hates. And what he says is that they did experiment very hard with finding, different techniques, including using the nunchuck. But they don't go on about cliches like, we wanted to keep it simple, or things like that. They actually say that it was important for them that the player feel in control, and that they put in a lot of work to get the sensitivity just right. In other words, they weren't just on some blind motion controls bandwagon, but were mindful of the sense of control that the player would have. And then, as a cherry on top, making the break the physical one button while the rest of the controls are motion controls is a good idea, I think. It's important to remember that this game didn't have a poor reception on release. It had a similar effect to Colors, in that it was praised as a return to form, though it didn't get as much praise as Colors did, and of course the game had its detractors. It's just that the game wasn't considered this unequivocally bad, terrible Sonic game that it's considered today, where people are starting to argue that it's worse than 06 and things of that nature. I don't think that the online community just decided to hate the game. I think there's a gigantic reason why people today don't click with the game. And I think the reason I can trace to maybe 3 to 6 different subpoints, which all pertain to the controls. One big reason is that the game's an autorunner, so obviously that makes you less comfortable with where the game's going. It's the definition of you can't play the game on your own pace. Second, it's motion controlled, meaning that you have to relearn a new control scheme. Third, we have a charged jump. I think this is the only Sonic game that has a charged jump, aside from Riders. And recall what I just said. Autorunning, motion controls, a charged jump. And then on top of that, we have a fourth thing, backing, where you don't actually switch the camera view really, and you don't U-turn like in other 3D platformers, instead you're like a car. And then if you spam your back hopping, it might cancel into the forward jump. And then number 5, the RPG style equip system, where your controls are constantly changing depending on what level you are and what skills you have equipped. I think a lot of us have seen how children and people who aren't gamers are so unused to how to navigate a traditional controller. Whereas a lot of us have grown up putting hundreds and hundreds of hours into learning how to use these controllers. And now you have to relearn that whole process for this specific game. Or there are a couple games like it too, like Riders Zero Gravity for the Wii. It's not that these controls are that unintuitive, it's just tilting left and right and shaking it a bit. That's arguably more intuitive than an analog stick and buttons. But it is something to relearn, and thus I do think there's an onus on us players to at least have the understanding that it is a bit of a learning process. Now, if we don't have the patience for that and we don't like the game, we're free to not like the game and not play it. But to pin the responsibility on the controls being unresponsive, I think that's misguided and gives Sega and the community wrong idea about what lessons to take and how to move forward. It'd be such a shame if a game that was held up in such high regard when it comes to everything else but the motion controls, that the only thing that would keep you from enjoying this would be just that extra bit of patience and understanding. It would make you enjoy the controls and then, making the rest of the game enjoyable as well. Throughout most of this video, you'll see that the gameplay clips are accompanied by a camera view of my Wiimote, and that's because I want to show you just how rare it is for the controls to be unresponsive. So basically, when you want to go backwards, you want to turn the Wiimote 180 degrees flatly face down. And then when you want a homing attack, you just want to
Move the Wii remote forward quickly.
And some end up doing this.
Oh, come on, just work.
Guess what you actually want to be doing
Move the Wii remote forward quickly.
when the reticle is red. There's another point that's used to criticize the game. It's based on the fact that you can upgrade your controls. So people conflate stronger controls with more responsive controls. In the following example, I'll show you how I can beat a difficult stage with no skills equipped for 1 minute, so keep tabs on the number of unresponsive incidents. The point of this mission is to collect no rings.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
I think motion controls add a very immersive aspect to video games. And I could name examples all day, but one key example has always been Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the Wii, where you actually make the Kamehameha move with your hands. Another example is a more subtle one, but still appreciated nonetheless. It's in Last of Us, where you don't just shake your controller up and down, but you actually shake it from one side to the other in a smacking motion, which you typically would when you're trying to smack a flashlight into working again. And then you have games like the Olympic Games or Wii Sports, which are far grander in how much motion controls they use, but are also way more immersive. Like you're actually breaking a sweat when you're playing Wii Boxing. But compared to these games, Secret Rings lies in a comfortable middle ground where the motion controls are there, but they're pretty minimalistic, like turning side to side or just thrusting it forward. And you don't have to aim specifically or anything. And that's what I had today from motion controls. Let's keep going.
Huh? Hey, look at this!
Is that what I think it is?
Yep, another one of the 7 world rings. I feel rage. power of rage!
So, the gameplay. Aside from the controls, there are a few aspects that people find contentious. Which evokes a primal rage inside them. Well, not really. Like the difficulty of the game, the mission structure, and then some missions like the dinosaur egg mission. I'll get back to the gameplay frustrations in a second. Let's start with the basics. This game basically sets the precedent for the boost games. What with its fast-forward movement, hallway design, where there's more of an emphasis on side-to-side movement and vertical movement and dodging, rather than actual full 3D platforming. Secret Rings even has a quick step, a stomp, a dash after the stomp, and I mean, Speed Break is essentially a boost. To cover the gameplay, I need to lay out the groundwork by delving into the RPG-style equip system. The Sonic franchise isn't a stranger to power progression, but I would say Sonic games haven't really dabbled in customization of the base gameplay, save for Black Knight, Generations, and Frontiers. Secret Rings matches or even surpasses these though. Here you acquire skills by leveling up, which you do by just playing the game. These skills both enhance and change Sonic's base gameplay and spruce up his moveset to better tackle the environmental hazards he comes across. So to start off, we got the splash jump, which is really useful when tackling structures that are tall but not unsurmountable, and it's so cool how it just keeps the forward momentum going. Then we have the fire tackle, which makes your quicker uncharged short hop an offensive ability, and I like how he just confidently face plants into the enemy. Next we have the Crest of Fire, which if you have 6 fire skills equipped, makes your homing attack blow away all enemies in your vicinity, and gives you a cool red homing attack aura to boot. This is also the first Sonic game that introduces the Stomp. You can also tweak Slide to be offensive or defensive. When it comes to speed, you can customize the starting speed, acceleration, max speed, and landing boost, and a ton of other things. There is also a Crest of Wind, which if you have 10 wind skills equipped, consumes 1 ring per second to make you go even faster. I just want to show you a side-by-side comparison of Sonic with no speed skills and Sonic with all of them.
Let's find the King's Palace.
Yes, let's hurt. If you have at least 1 ring, you can get hit without being hurt. That pillar is being manipulated by magic. Look out! The Razor's hen.
I think you got the point. Admittedly, the starting speed is a little slow and the top speed too fast, but I'm impressed the game manages to run so well despite that top speed. This game might be the fastest Sonic game relative to its level design. Then you also have skills for homing, rebound times, distance, the badass skimmer sliding skills that make your sliding retain its speed, a lot of skills for your left and right controls while sliding, strafing, and while airborne you also have compromising skills that are cheap to equip but with a caveat, e.g. hyperspeed with greater reduced defense, and it feels cool that you're making do with your skill points. You also have skills that and every level can benefit from some tweaking. It's not always best to have the strongest skills equipped, e.g. for a stealth mission where you fail if you kill your enemies, maybe it's better to not embody a walking inferno with only aggressive abilities. One skill combination you can do is using Ring of Zero, Ring Exchange, and another experience point skill. Ring Exchange exchanges your rings for pearls for the soul gauge, and Ring of Zero gives you more experience while you're at 0 rings, and then you can add another experience point type skill on top of that. These combinations are written on the Sonic Team guide for the game. I would personally add onto the previous combination Soul Resurrection, which is a skill that allows you to revive when you don't have rings and instead use the soul gauge. You're also given 4 different loadouts that you can tailor to different specialities. Me personally, I have one for like an all-rounder skill set, one for defense and bosses, one for offense, and one with max speed. I'd be remiss if I neglected to mention Speed Break and Time Break, and I love the whole soul pearl collecting. It sounds so cool and satisfying alongside the rings. Speed Break is a cool ass boost. It's also not a press to win button like the Chaos Control in Shadow the Hedgehog. You can still take damage from obstacles like spinning blades and such, so it requires and rewards mastery of a level. time break is pretty cool too. Whenever you're in some sort of time pinch or close shave, it really makes a difference and feels so badass when you're pulling it off. Now we gotta talk cinematics! Okay, so I have a couple points I want to cover. First off, it's set pieces AF, okay, up its ass. It's got set pieces for every stage, sometimes multiple set pieces, okay? Some other Sonic games don't have a set piece for the entire game. This one, you get him riding rockets, you get him riding a log down a water stream after being chased by dinosaurs.
That was a close one.
On another thing, you have him flying magic carpet. And these set pieces are almost always playable, that's the best part. Like you get Sonic being cocky AF and Shara being a warrior, and you just go woo! Next point, the game has some slick camera angles, okay? Like you get some cool shots where it's not always just flat Sonic running forward or what have you. Like in Sand Oasis, it goes diagonal and you get the perspective from the sand, and then you have other places where it's constantly like dynamic and cool. And this game has some of the most in-game dialogue of any Sonic game. So it's always exciting, they're always commenting on what happened. Next point, dodging feels smooth and organic. Like compare that to the still cool and badass, but a bit stiffer, a bit more artificial quick step from the boost games. Here, you're organically moving right and left. It's not like the adventure games which put they don't put an emphasis on timing your dodges like that. It's more about 3D platforming. Here, it's the boost game vibe of timing, but you also have the clean left and right movement of the adventure games. Next point, the moves are cool as fuck, like short hopping into enemies face planting is freaking badass and aggro, or sliding while running before a jump feels like you're building friction. You're so fast, you can't even build up enough friction to jump. And the speed break and time break, don't get me started, they're cool AF. And then spice that up with the splash jump, that wind. Can you feel the sunshine?
You're not gonna evaporate, are you, Shara?
Now, let's talk about branching paths, or kind of the lack thereof. Well, not really, but I would say compared to other games, they're not as numerous and they may not always be as major compared to some other games. But they do exist. They are pretty cool. Some change the aesthetic up, some give you like a hidden rail, hidden path that gives you like the gold medal. But yeah, they're not the craziest. I wouldn't say this game is like the shining star of branching pathways. But I would say the joy of this game is more like SA2, where you don't necessarily have as many branching paths compared to some other games, but you do enjoy the linear level design where it's more about the obstacles thrown in your way and how you tackle them. Enough said. Speaking of linearity, the difficulty is through the roof. The timings of things is played and toyed with, like with the homing attack through the explosive barrels, or fire-breathing spinning enemies, or taking a leap of faith in running through the spinning blades. You play the missions for not collecting any pearls, and you will see how far the basic movement of the motion controls can be pushed without losing much in the ways of consistency. The game just has a great pace of things happening. And it's not just a matter of difficult design. The skill cap is rather uncapped, with rather hard to get medals and just how sleekly you can play this game. The cancelability of Sonic's moves feels tactile and free, and boy, look at how insightful Sonic Team is about how the mechanics of this game work, like sliding through a wall shuffling section, or holding down the jump before a drift corner. This is stuff I've found out after hundreds of hours of playing this game. People are pleased that with Frontiers they acknowledge the Magnet Dash, but the amount of tech Sonic Team are aware of in their own game that released 3 months after 06 is really impressive. A game people dismiss as just a motion-controlled gimmicky bandwagony garbage game the devs didn't care for. Now, given the difficulty, you better count your blessings that the game doesn't have a life system, because goddamn, I would laugh at you all's despair so hard if it did. Joking, of course. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the missions and other things to do. So, for starters, we have just a lot of missions. It's 110 missions. 8 worlds, though the first world is partially the tutorial, but it also has some actual stages. Like, this is the most base Sonic levels in any Sonic game, I have to think, right? Like, maybe if you count Adventure 2 with its different types of levels. No, not even then. Like, this is pure Sonic levels. No other characters, no Werehog, not Wisps, not a sword, not classic Sonic. It's conventional Sonic gameplay, though it does have an unconventional control scheme. And a lot of the levels are difficult, as I mentioned before. Even though they might have some silly stipulations, like don't break the jar or break the jar, like gameplay wise it becomes a lot of fun. And sometimes they also weave themselves into the story. And some levels are long as shit. We are not talking Forces or Frontiers levels of length. No, we're talking 5, 6, 7 minutes. Now, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that there are so many missions that are optional, because you don't need that many to actually progress in the story. On one hand, it means it's a good thing because no matter which mission you play, usually you'll end up progressing in some way or shape or form. But there is that small risk that you don't actually progress while playing some missions. And in that sense, it would have been nice if they did tell you which missions were the mandatory ones. But that also means that you get options in which mission you actually want to play. And since multiple missions lead to progression, might as well just play any mission, right? And it's not like you actually unlock all 13 missions to begin with. You often just get presented with 1 or 2 new missions, and as you play the newest missions, you just keep unlocking more new missions, and then you get to unlock the next level, and voila. Like, for example, I think you don't actually have to play the dinosaur egg mission to progress. Now, I will say the tutorial is kind of boring. They get you familiarized with the new control scheme though. And some stages are really cool, like going backwards in Evil Foundry to get the bomb out, or going back and fighting all the enemies in the arena in Skeleton Dome, which Sonic comments on when he first gets there.
It looks like some kind of arena.
Now I'm going to show you a side mission which I think is pretty fun. This is a mission where you fail if you collect any pearls. So in customization, I unequipped my pearl collecting skills, and since this stage will be heavy on precise dodging, I don't max out my speed. This spring is something of a trap, easy to avoid though. These spinning blades with pearls are difficult to pass smoothly. I prepare my jump while in the left lane, then carry over my jump charge to the right, then I jump. When I'm in this section, I avoid killing the enemies because then I'd get the pearls from them. I just like how the pearls go diagonally like that, and then having to jump through the hoops of pearls like a circus performer while the ground has spikes. There was also this other path when you jump on the blades and go on the rail that goes in a straight shot to the goal. But I didn't quite get it to work, so I just tried to do the normal path as quickly as possible. Then there are a couple of sections with cool left and right dodging. Then there's this closing circle of pearls that tests your precision. It's a shame I stopped because it would have felt so sweet to confidently thread the needle in one go. And the pearls make for nice decor here. Then the final part is just having to time your homing attacks on the cages when the vanishing djinns, vanish. And then go! And this is just one of many side missions that are completely optional and test your skills further than the normal main stages do. Now, let's talk about medals. So, aside from actually just enjoying the levels, you do get ranked on your performance on each level with gold, silver, and bronze medals. And aside from just beating your own times and scores and that, you also actually get rewards for getting gold and silver medals. For example, the developer blog video, the gallery, And you also have a side quest thing with Big, like actually finding a big cat in the wild. Like, it perfectly encapsulates Big's character. Like, even in the first few games, he was all about just being there in the midst of all the action, just minding his business, just looking for his frog friend. Now, I'm just going to briefly talk about why the game is designed the way it is. The producer of the game cited Shadow of the Colossus, God of War, and Prince of Persia as inspirations. Then if we look at why Secret Rings became what it is, you can trace some of it to how the Wii was codenamed Revolution. So they wanted to revolutionize Sonic as well. Also, since the Secret Rings was going to be released within 3 months of 06, they didn't want it to be too similar, and then of course the technical limitations of the Wii preventing Secret Rings from simply being 06. Here, he says whether or not they'll change the direction for Sonic titles will depend on whether the title sells. And they're like, of course we'll make Sonic Adventure games as well. But we know that's a lie because we entered the boost era right afterwards. I also want to bring up that the sales of Secret Rings did a lot better than many other Sonic games. In conjunction with this, I also want to bring up that there are many who've said they used to like the game when they were young, but when they grew up were like, I understood that the controls were bad. Not to say there aren't some who disliked it from the beginning, but I know I was affected in a similar way where I enjoyed these games as a kid. Then after being part of the online discussion and not actively replaying these games, I started thinking that the games had always been unenjoyable, when in fact they weren't and wouldn't be when I approached these games as an adult with an open mind. Now I'm just going to quickly go over my suggestions for improvement for an eventual remake when it comes to the gameplay. So first off, I want the backstep to not be cancelable into a short jump. Second, a better tutorial. And by better tutorial, I mean like a coherent stage rather than like these cut up missions. And you know, just a real level that actually feels more complete and still manages to teach you things that you need to know. But you know, actually being fun and actually has opportunity for mastery and things of that nature. Third, higher acceleration and stronger skills in the beginning. 4. Fixing the input lag when you're in time break and the weird inputs when you're going to fire yourself off catapults. 5. Clearer mission structure. 6. Easier to read list of equips. 7. If they make a remake, I need the motion controls still being there because 1. I like them. 2. I think just pressing a button obviously takes less time, and the level design isn't designed around you just quickly being able to press a button at like half a second compared to, you know, actually shaking the controller or tilting it physically left and right, which takes a little bit more time. And those were my suggestions, or my main ones, but you'll keep hearing one or another as we keep covering more of the game.
That's another of the 7 rings. The water blue ring.
Looks like I'm the only one that can touch them. I betcha it's because I'm not from this world. Does that mean these rings aren't from this world either? Now, Ring of Water, bring forth a mighty storm!
So, now we want to talk about the environments. As an uncultured person, the Arabian Nights might only be associated with sand dunes, Bedouins, and kings, but both the Arabian Nights and this game has a rich offering of environments, like freaking dinosaurs in a lush, vigorous jungle, pirates in a raging ocean, and flying ships with magical statues and strong wind resistance. This is not just the starter kit of platforming environments, like Grass World, Lava World, Sand World, you know the works. And there's something about the aesthetics, it's not just graphically, it's the vibrance. The sunset on the outside of Sand Oasis, the dark inside lit up by the flames, this outside oasis with the pillars falling, or the coolness of levitated ruin while running in the airspace on the lit up path with rockets following you. Or the dark, dangerous waves, earth, and pirate ships you cross in Pirate Storm, contrasted with the bright and soft inside of the caves. And while it's subtle, I love how you can see the rocking of the ships from side to side. Or in Skeleton Dome,
No, it's something else.
the quote-unquote snow that's actually the grounded debris of the skeletons of ancient giant creatures. Then the caves leading to the underground fort of King Solomon with a cool green aesthetic, with tight halls with traps like swinging blades, halls full of golden treasure and arenas. Or everything about Night Palace, like the palace stone, the lighting, the windows, the roofs, that some places have open roof and some closed, that it's a flying palace with the moon being closer because we're so high up, like in the fight versus Eraser. The joy of running through, across and between the walls, corners, halls and pavilions of this big and tight palace. Then the alternative glass world that looks so pretty. Each environment has an array of unique mechanics. Cool shit in Sand Oasis like falling pillars, flamethrowers and lances, or Night Palace's flying carpet, hourglasses and breaking glass floors of the ethereal world. Or in Evil Foundry how you play the floor is lava, and you have special flipping doors, falling bunches of metal you like cross over platforms with, the squeezers. And then you have dinosaur jungles, guess what? Dinosaur enemies and friends. And riding through a log, down a rushing stream and later down like a calmer cave. It's not just the creativity of the levels, or the graphics, or the vibrance, it's the dynamicness of the levels. And I just like these levels, like the environment so much that I wish that a remake of this game or something, or Frontiers 2, would have a hub world or an open zone of these environments. Because they would be so fun to just explore in. Speaking of aesthetics, let's talk about animations briefly. So when you're starting his running animation, you can see him being a bit bouncy, you know, when he's accelerating. But then when you reach like his high speeds, especially with the quips, he starts like, it's snappy when he's running, like every step, you know? And then the VFX are really cool with the wind, darkness, fire effects depending on his moves. His sliding is badass, his jumping is without him turning into a ball, but it's still pretty cool. I don't know if he ever spins in this game though. I guess we know who is
the fake hedgehog around here.
When he corners, it's really cool too. His back hopping is cool, how he switches from hands to feet. His homing attack bounces are varied, and I like how the speed break has this rev up VFX animation. Some of you might have seen this animation breakdown video of different Sonic games, and when it comes to Secret Rings, they criticize it for how the animations become stroby noise. To me though, this just communicates the crazy speeds he reaches. I do however think the side-to-side animation could be better at lower speeds. On another point, I really like how the beginning of every stage has this countdown with cool animations and camera angles. This might be the game that really started the whole ready, set, go the newer games have.
Hey, look at that!
It's another one of the 7 world rings.
Oh! This power!
This must be what has driven the spirits mad, I think. It is only recently that they have been behaving this way.
Well, I think I've had just about enough of this.
You know what else is powerful and is driving the spirits mad? The 7 Rings in Hand is a song I've returned to time and time again. I rarely think this is one of my favorite Sonic songs, but the number of times I just passionately sing along to the music while, you know, in menus and stuff does stand for something. I love how it just gets started quickly and makes statement after statement with echo. 120, I like how the song feels like a mix of a release yet still maintaining the statements of what this tale entails.
7 rings in hand, speed through nights with beating sand. 7 rings in hand, wonders all under command.
And then 330, I like the guitar into the ooh. That it plays in most menus and result screens I can understand can be a bit much for some, but not for me. Sand Oasis's Let the Speed Mend It revs up really quickly and is rich in sounds and reflects how the stage still feels like it's going through different environments from inside to outside. And then at 1:30 I love the rap-like part. And then at 1:50 how it just has this slow part that just catches my ear. Wicked Wild is really upbeat and cool and funky and bouncy in a nice way that really fits the joyride of a jungle stage we're going through with dinos in the way. Dino! It's jungle! Dino! The Wicked Wild! 140 fits the jungle vibe, and I don't know why, but the drum generally feels more like it represents the jungle nicely. 2:15, the guitar is pretty cool.
If truly free, be stop never through all that's happening.
Evil Foundries, the palace that was found, is really freaking cool. The countdown calmness with like the organ-like instrument in the beginning.
If truly free, be stop never through all that's happening.
Into the catchy and cool bounce where the stage just begins with a freaking giant. And these guitars just express how deep you're going into the fire pit. And this part here just sounds head-boppy. 158, the transition into the calm is pretty nice. And releasing with the long, nice riffs. How it started, the theme for the Ifrit boss is really nice, climactic, cool and fitting for this mechanical giant djinn. I love how it begins slowly then just revs up. I like 110, how it goes back to calm and how it returns to the original pace. And how around 150 the different guitars, drums and bass mesh, yeah. And how at 207 the lyrics are more shouting than other songs. Like this shows how the boss is a boss where Sonic's metal is tested. High and Broken is the only instrumental level song, but I really like it nonetheless. I love the switch at 40 seconds. Then the lonely piano at 50 seconds. I feel like that part signifies how you're far up in the air away from civilization. And by 120, it's heroic, really enforcing how epic it is that you're jumping around high up in the sky on giant flying birds. .230, the guitar fits nicely with the openness and the chase. The heavier guitars, like the riffs, also express the heavy wind. In No Way Through, the heavy riffs express the dire situation you're in, surrounded by a raging ocean that can easily claim your life. The drums coincide with the cannonballs. The slower, heavier sound works with how you cross one waving pirate ship at a time, and how the voice answers itself. I like the drums and guitars at 230 as well. And the lyrics just convey this hopelessness, just like the namesake. Like the lyrics, all hopes drown in this big of blue. Blue on the Run starts off so cool with this gritty, glitchy sound into the enthusiastic ha! I like how the song keeps a relatively faster pace going. Then it goes into like singing rather than like the bolder statements at 120. And then the guitar is pretty nice at 150. And then around 220, we have this heavy, final struggle kind of music. The White of Sky for Skeleton Dome might be the most chill of the stage songs. It's one of the level tracks I like less, but its more serene tone fits this quote-unquote snow level, where you're only alone until skeletons revive right in front of you. The guitar at 15 seconds and the switch in instrumentation is really nice. I like the escalation at 110. And then the feeling of steady progress through these caves and tombs, I feel is expressed at 120, and then the piano at 140. Unawakening Float is so interesting as a final stage song. It's almost epic while being somber. Reminds me of Beyblade's Underdog, but slower. First it begins with just the guitars, which maybe represents the sleek cleanliness of the inside of the palace. Then the other instruments come in, expressing a sound that signifies the epic quality of you going through this massive enemy fortress flying in the sky. It's not the same kind of heroic or lonely feeling of levitated ruins high and broken. The lyrics have a kind of echo, and the words, quote, "Must I float away?" expresses the desperation when the odds are against you. Then we have 150, where we have a heavy guitar that goes away, and it feels like you're walking in the air or something. And then the heavy guitar kicks back in, and you're like back in it.
In this place that has no sun.
And then we have 320 with the slower yet just as heavy feeling. This has a different final vibe to Heroes or Unleashed's last stages.
Drop of all you got, every single drop of all you got, every single bit of all you have, every single bit of all you have.
It Has Come to This is one of the songs I've listened the most to, just on endless repeat. The boss is freaking fire, and the song holds no punches in making this penultimate fight leave its mark. The lyrics just come boldly at you, every single drop of all you got. And then the drums accentuate the feeling, and then how it just echoes, transitions into heavy riffs, then the freaking bass just topping off that intro is so fire.
Every single drop of all you got.
And then the singing at 44 seconds where it carries some of the desperation of Unawakening Float.
All you have is come to this, it has come to this,
The rap around 1 minute and how it transitions at 120.
makes the only sense as it all awaits to step in hope, kick time away. If this is what it takes to be in stopping this anomaly, curing every destiny into what it has to be. Just this once is all I ask to be. Turn me into stone if it can't be done.
Then at 154, how the instruments go quiet with just words, then only drums playing punctuating the statement and then going back into the song.
Every single drop of all you got.
This song feels like it would fit quite nicely among the Beyblade songs. Or in other words, it just has that epic, desperate, going all out feeling of two fierce combatants. Also, the song names are really freaking cool. Names like The Palace That Was Found, High and Broken, It Has Come to This, are really cool names compared to e.g. Windmill Isle Day. I quite like the song Sandstorm, the song that plays in the main menu of the game. It balances the go 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 feeling with a very Arabic oriented instrumentation. Some cutscene music I like, such as Misgiving at 20 seconds. Or The Promise. Even though it's a very short song, I like how the way it enters and the softness. The ending song, Worth a Chance, is quite nice as well, and really melds into the cutscene really well.
Goodbyes are part of time. I'm part of moving forward.
That's it!
One of the 7 world rings. This one is...
Elden.
Oh! This one is sealed with sadness.
Just what are these rings?
It's the Elden Ring.
Sadness!
The Scorpion boss essentially set the formula for the Color's final boss, that returned in Lost World, Forces, and arguably even in Frontiers with Squid. You have artillery going after you, and the big arm/eyes slamming and stabbing onto you. It was a pretty good boss formula for the boost gameplay, where you mainly move forward in a hallway type platform. Though some previous games have had a few similar bosses, like Heroes with Egg Albatross, but that one's a bit more 3D platformy and less about dodging. Here you actually have the whole climbing up the arms and reaching the head through homing attacks deal. The pirate boss is pretty cool, the music I really dig, the setting is cool, and the fight is a little brutal seeing as it's a Sonic game where you're slowly ripping out the boss's horns with your bare hands. You actually have to be mindful of his zapping energy ball, so you can't just keep trying to rip it away, otherwise you will take damage. His wave attacks are a bit varied, like there's one which is really high and you actually have to have a max jump. In this boss you can also use the speed break to get an extra hit in, just like in the coming boost games where you are able to do extra hits by holding in the boost. The Ifrit is a joy with its cool aesthetic, both of the boss itself and the environment, let alone the music. Its attacks are cool, like the lines of blazing fire, or bombarding you with explosive barrels, making it difficult to attack its knuckles, and how it makes the lava level rise. I like how if you upgrade Time Break, you can hit the barrels themselves to do damage faster. There are also ways to use Speed Break and other tricks to do it faster.
I've been waiting to finish things with you for a long time.
You filthy rat! I'll shut that mouth of yours permanently.
Eraser Jin is the fake final boss and it's freaking fire. The setting is so cool and Eraser's attacks consisting of slashes works well with the sleek background. The music is fire too, the difficulty is nice as well, and the face down is badass. With the added little shot afterwards. And the different ways you can tackle the face down is cool as well. There are smaller opportunities you have to attack him while he's attacking you to finish the boss faster. And I really like how organically cool Sonic's running looks, especially reflected in the background as you're dodging his slashes and attacks.
Hey, look at this!
It's a white ring. One of the 7, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely one of the world rings. It feels like light. To think this little thing could cause so much trouble. Such great power can bring people either happiness or misfortune. For instance, this ring seems to be filled with desire. Just what does Eraser want by collecting all of these rings?
He desires rubber, so he can truly live up to his name and stop raw-dogging the Arabian Nights all night long!
So, the story. Let's start with the basics. I'm only going to cover the main story. I might come across as a bootleg armchair psychologist, but oh well. I really like how the story is told through these animatics. They're lively and they still convey emotion. And I like the concept art style to the paintings. And of course there are a couple of really sick CGI cutscenes towards the end of the story. The story begins with Sonic being called in by Shara to save the Arabian Nights because Eraser Jin is rewriting the stories and trying to escape into the real world. Sonic accepts, and this following part is unimportant in an important way. Sonic, in the heat of the moment, sneezes, says he's caught a cold, and nonchalantly asks for a few handkerchiefs, but gets a mountain of them, as his first wish right after Shara's serious exposition dump. This is who Sonic is. He doesn't wallow in fret or needless drama. Same in Black Knight.
To lose to a mere apprentice! I have been disgraced! Only death can remove this stain upon my honor!
Give me a break! What's up with all this drama?
Silence! Silence, I say! A knight who fails their king is unfit to live!
Isn't there more to being a knight than just serving a king?
Huh?
I'm out of here. People to save, you know.
In their first meeting, Eraser tries to put a fire on Shara, but Sonic takes the hit. The flame is a death sentence. Eraser orders Sonic to find the 7 world rings or his life is forfeit. He also says that the collector of the rings will be offered up as the key to control the rings. Backstory time.
Hey, there's something I've been thinking about, Shara.
What is it?
How do you and the Eraser Jin know each other?
Huh? Well...
Hey, if you'd rather not talk about it, that's okay.
Sonic.
Is he really a genie of the lamp like that King of Bones said?
Yes. Well, you see, he's the genie of the magic lamp from the story of Aladdin.
Huh?
Long ago, he was punished for his misdeeds and sealed away in the lamp. He would not be forgiven until he had granted the wishes of 1,000 people. But when his sentence had been served, he had a renewed hatred of people. That was his fate, sad as it was. His cursed destiny came from the story he had been written into.
Shara?
To the Eraser Jin, I am just a mere genie of the ring. I want to stop him, though. I want to turn the stories of the Arabian Nights back to what they were. That is my wish.
Despite her being down on herself because her power doesn't compare to the Eraser Djinns, she still maintains a level of drive. She has a genuine care for the world. So Shara is trying to stop Eraser even though she shared a life with him. Towards the middle of the story, she gives Sonic a mysterious ball and says if nothing else works, use this, and that she can't use it herself. And we see how she is aware of her limitation in her will to defeat him.
Shara?
I cannot use it by myself.
Yet despite her misgivings, Sonic says that she'd be smiling by the end of this.
Shara! Can't you do something about it with your magic?
I'm sorry, Sonic. My magic is no match for that of the Eraser Djinn.
Okay then. Guess I'll just have to deal with him the old-fashioned way. And hey, don't look so glum, Shara. I'll have you smiling by the end of this. And that's not me ordering you as your master. That's a promise from me to you.
Yes, all right.
All right! Let's do it!
Before we skip to the finale of the story, I just want to make a brief detour to the side characters.
My name is Alibaba.
I am Shahryar, king of this land.
I am Sinbad of the Seven Seas, adventurer of adventurers.
I am the great and powerful King Solomon.
That's all you get. That's all I got too. Shh, we're approaching the... Sonic starts running low on his flame, but they get the last world ring, and then they face Eraser.
I'll carve you to pieces until I find every last one.
Is that so? Let's see you try!
After facing Eraser Djinn, he escapes through closed doors.
I have an idea. Watch this. Open sesame! Oh, it didn't work.
When they face Eraser, he asks Shara to bring the rings. And she does.
What?
I must.
While remarking on how she misses being with him.
I just want to be back with him.
But while she's handing him over, Sonic commands her to do what she thinks is right.
You truly think is right!
And she gets stuck. This shows she has a toxic sense of belonging,
Shara!
where she has seen the good in him, has seen the bad, and calls him out on that, has the opportunity to stop him, and tries through Sonic to stop him, even giving him the mysterious ball. But here she breaks in her resolve and succumbs into the toxic belonging.
Please, quickly, let us rule the world together.
Eraser takes the rings, then attempts to offer up Sonic's life as the collector of the rings to become the key to control the rings.
Sacrifice as the key for that control. I offer up your life, Blue Hedgehog.
And Shara jumps in front of him. The flame curse that Eraser in the beginning of the story meant for Shara to collect the 7 rings may not have hit her physically, but she still paid the price for it in the end, because she too was the collector of the rings. Just like Sonic took the hit of the cursed flame for her, she now paid the price for him.
It's not your fault.
Did I change my destiny? Did I keep our promise?
She asks if she kept her promise, if she changed their destiny. In this scene, she both succumbed to Eraser and then protected their chance to defeat him. showing her duality. She then dies.
In the end, such is the weak power of a genie of the ring.
Alflayla Walayla's transformation was pretty cool and a bit creepy. The name means 1001 nights. Alflayla, 1000 nights. Walayla means and a night. The incomplete Alflayla Walayla expels 3 rings of negative emotions, and Sonic takes them in. I really like the delivery of Sonic's scream here. Then, after the transformations, we start off with 7 rings in hand playing, where our 2 incomplete monsters face off. This is the only Dark Super transformation we've had in the games. In Sonic X we also have Dark Sonic, which is also really cool, but the purples and the stripes and the rings are so freaking cool. I've always held that Secret Rings had the most visceral Sonic final boss fight in the franchise, until a certain game came out, and that game is Frontiers. But even with Frontiers bosses being out, this final boss still retains merit and a unique quality. Now for the fight itself. Alflayla Walayla has a multitude of cool moves like the gravity things, the key blast, the telegraphed slashes, the spirit bomb. It's difficult and satisfying to avoid his moves, they're nicely telegraphed. And the way you dodge them is really cool, like using time break, speed break, jumping around. And the highlight is kicking his spirit bomb with speed break and the scream Sonic gives and how you have to shake it, especially when Shara says that you're about to lose. Shara's not alive, it's just her voice from the beyond. And then when you get to attack Razor, it's directly on his heart and he just starts punching, kicking, and then he just goes freaking ham. The scream is really cool here too. Then releasing with the final energy slam. Do that for a couple rounds with increasing difficulty and you've beat the boss. After the fight, we get an iconic CGI cutscene where Sonic says Eraser's Jordans are fake. Eraser says he can come back again and again. Sonic reveals what was in the mystic orb Shara gave him, and it was the lamp of the genie Eraser. Sonic gets 3 wishes. The first wish, bring Shara back. The second wish, return the Arabian Nights. And the third wish.
My third wish! Eraser Jin, you shall live out the rest of time trapped inside your lamp as you were in days of old!
Shara! I know you're there! Please stop him! We can start over! The 2 of us! I swear! I swear it! The world is mine! I cannot be denied by that filthy rat! Why?
I told you, I'm not a rat! I'm a hedgehog!
Eraser calls to Shara, but this time she does not save him. After Sonic punts his final one-liner on Eraser, We hear Shara sobbing in the corner.
Shara, will you grant me one more wish? I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs. Now, just let yourself cry, as much as you need to. You'll have plenty of handkerchiefs to help you through it.
Goodbyes are part of time.
First, he nonchalantly and selfishly asked for more than one handkerchief, and Shara gave it to him in surplus. Having had that experience with Shara, this time he asked Shara for a mountain of handkerchiefs, which he may think he's doing selfishly, but it's for Shara's sake. This is a key representation of the duality between Sonic and Shara, and the duality within each of them individually. Sonic selfishly asked for handkerchiefs in the beginning, but gave his life for Shara. Shara later selfishly gives the rings to Eraser, then gives her life for Sonic. Then Sonic finally makes a seemingly selfish wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs, but contrary to the beginning, he's not nonchalant nor is he selfish. This is his final, serious, and selfless gesture for Shara.
Shara, will you grant me one more wish? I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs. Now, just let yourself cry, as much as you need to. You'll have plenty of handkerchiefs to help you through it.